There is a real sense around Baltimore right now that change is hovering in the air, even if nobody inside the building has said it out loud yet. When you listen to the way the league is talking, the conversation is no longer about whether adjustments should be made, but about where those adjustments would land and how deep they might go. The feeling is not dramatic or reactionary. It is more like a slow pressure that has been building over multiple seasons, reaching a point where standing completely still feels unrealistic. This is what makes the current Ravens offseason so tense, because every possible move seems to say something bigger about the direction of the franchise. One of the most interesting parts of this discussion is that it does not center on a full tear down or a sudden rebuild. Instead, it focuses on alignment. The idea being floated around the league is that if everyone inside the organization is not pulling in the same direction philosophically, that is when real fractures begin to form. If the head coach envisions one identity while parts of the staff are pushing another, that is when difficult decisions are usually forced. Sometimes those decisions are framed as needing a new voice, not because the old one lacks intelligence or effort, but because the message has simply gone stale. On the offensive side of the ball, that conversation becomes especially complicated if there were to be a change at offensive coordinator. It would not be because that coach suddenly forgot how to design an offense. In fact, around the league, that type of play caller would instantly become one of the most sought-after minds available. That alone should give anyone pause. Letting go of a coordinator who is respected, creative, and proven rarely solves problems by itself. More often than not, it just shifts responsibility without addressing the root cause. There is also the belief that defensive adjustments could be coming, not necessarily in the form of a dramatic firing, but through added experience and reinforcements. The defensive coordinator is viewed by many as a bright coach with a strong future. Yet the unit has needed help settling in, especially on the back end. Bringing in more veteran influence could be seen as a way to stabilize things, without completely resetting the system. Still, even those moves would be symptoms of a larger question rather than an answer to it. What worries a large portion of the fan base is the possibility of the Ravens choosing the path of least resistance. Keeping the head coach while moving on from another coordinator feels, to many, like repeating a cycle that has already played out multiple times. The names change, the responsibilities shift, but the overall structure remains untouched. That kind of decision often gives the appearance of action without delivering real progress. In some ways, it can even set a team back, forcing players to adapt yet again while the top remains the same. This is where the frustration truly begins. Over the years, Baltimore has already gone through several coordinator changes, including during the current era built around its franchise quarterback. Each time, the hope was that the new hire would be the missing piece, the final adjustment needed to push the team over the top. Yet the same issues continue to resurface. At some point, it becomes fair to ask whether the problem lies deeper than the coordinator level. From an offensive standpoint, there are valid critiques to be made. Slow starts have been an issue, and there have been moments where the offense seemed to lose its aggressiveness at the wrong time. Play calling has occasionally felt disjointed, with stretches where rhythm disappears entirely. Those concerns are real and deserve to be discussed honestly. At the same time, context matters. Injuries along the offensive line, missed time from key players, and stretches where backup quarterbacks were forced into action all played a role in shaping the season. Despite those challenges, the production tells a more balanced story over multiple seasons. This offense has consistently ranked near the top of the league in both rushing and passing efficiency, finishing as the best rushing unit while also maintaining a strong passing attack is not accidental. That level of balance requires planning, adaptability, and an understanding of personnel. It is difficult to argue that this is the profile of an offense that is fundamentally broken. That is why moving on from the offensive coordinator while keeping everything else intact feels so risky. It suggests that the organization is willing to sacrifice continuity and proven results in exchange for the comfort of familiarity at the top. If the goal is to move forward, that approach feels backwards. Any new hire would immediately be under pressure to replicate or exceed production that has already been among the league's best, all while adjusting to the same structural limitations. On the defensive side, patience has already been tested. 2 seasons in, the unit has shown improvement, but the same early season struggles keep reappearing. Slow starts, soft coverage cushions, and questionable timing on pressure packages have left fans uneasy, while injuries and personnel gaps explain part of the inconsistency. They do not fully excuse repeated patterns. Defensive growth has been real, but it has not been smooth or convincing enough to quiet doubts. The uncomfortable truth is that this conversation probably should not even be happening if the Ravens were confident in their leadership direction when execution issues, penalties, and discipline problems surface year after year. Responsibility inevitably points upward. Preparation and focus are reflections of the head coach, and those areas have been inconsistent when it matters most. Admitting that does not erase past success, but it does challenge the assumption that more of the same will suddenly produce different results. There is a growing sense that Baltimore is approaching a crossroads. Choosing to reshuffle coordinators again might buy time, but it also risks prolonging uncertainty. Fans are not questioning effort or loyalty. They are questioning whether the current structure can realistically deliver another championship. For a franchise that prides itself on standards and accountability, the next decision will speak louder than any press conference or statement. And it will shape how this era of Ravens football is remembered moving forward. As the offseason continues to unfold, the tension surrounding the Ravens feels heavier because this is no longer just about a single, disappointing ending. It is about a pattern that has become impossible to ignore year after year. The team enters the season with legitimate expectations, flashes dominance in stretches, and then finds itself undone by the same collection of issues when the margins tighten. Close games slip away, momentum swings are not managed well, and moments that require sharp discipline instead reveal hesitation or sloppiness. When those moments pile up, they stop looking like bad luck and start looking like identity. One of the most alarming indicators is how often Baltimore has struggled in tight games. Over the course of this era, when contests are decided by a handful of points, execution and preparation matter more than raw talent. These are games where coaching decisions, situational awareness, and emotional control often determine the outcome. Falling consistently on the wrong side of those moments suggests that something fundamental is missing, even if the roster itself remains strong. It creates the impression that the ceiling is lower than it should be. This is why the idea of a simple coordinator swap feels insufficient, even if a new coordinator brings fresh concepts or energy. That change alone does not automatically fix late-game management, discipline issues, or the inability to consistently close. Those responsibilities ultimately fall on the head coach. That does not mean the head coach lacks knowledge or experience, but it does raise questions about whether his message still resonates the same way it once did. Sometimes familiarity breeds comfort, and comfort can quietly erode urgency. There is also the emotional side of the locker room to consider. Players are not blind to public discourse, nor are they unaware of internal tension. When coaching changes happen repeatedly beneath the same leadership, it can create confusion about accountability. Players may wonder who truly sets the standard and who will be there long-term. Stability matters, but only when it is paired with clarity and progress. Without those elements, stability starts to feel like stagnation. From a roster perspective, the Ravens are not in a position where patience is easy to justify. The core of the team is built to win now. Prime years are being spent chasing answers rather than celebrating results. Every offseason that passes without a clear leap forward feels heavier than the last because opportunities in this league are fleeting. Windows close faster than teams expect, especially when injuries and contract realities enter the picture. What complicates matters further is that this situation has reached a broader spotlight. Conversations about the Ravens are no longer confined to local circles or frustrated fans. Around the league, the same questions are being asked about whether this version of Baltimore has reached its natural limit under its current leadership. When those questions become widespread, they influence perception, free agent interest, and even how opponents prepare. Despite all of this, it is important to separate criticism from dismissal. The head coach in question has had a successful career and has guided the franchise through multiple eras. The issue is not whether he is capable, but whether this particular chapter has run its course. Great coaches can still reach a point where a reset benefits both sides. History across the league is filled with examples where change unlocked new success for organizations that felt stuck. The fear among fans is that ownership may choose comfort over conviction. Opting to maintain the current structure while making surface-level adjustments sends a message that playoff appearances alone are enough for a fan base accustomed to higher standards. That message is unsettling. It suggests a willingness to accept falling short as long as the team remains competitive, rather than demanding the final step forward. There is also a real concern about disengagement. While most fans will continue to follow the team, there is a difference between passionate belief and cautious detachment. When supporters start watching with lowered expectations, something intangible is lost, energy fades, patience thins, and the emotional connection weakens. That is not something any organization should take lightly, especially one built on a proud, intense football culture at its core. This offseason represents a defining moment. The Ravens must decide whether they believe the current leadership can truly evolve, not just tweak, or whether a bold decision is necessary to reestablish direction. Half measures risk prolonging uncertainty and amplifying frustration. Whatever path is chosen will ripple through every level of the franchise, from the locker room to the fan base, shaping the narrative of the years that follow. Another layer to this conversation is how the organization defines accountability when expectations are not met. At some point, internal evaluations have to go beyond talent and scheme and focus on results versus opportunity. The Ravens have not been short on talent, and they have not lacked chances to make deep postseason runs when those chances repeatedly end. The same way, it forces a hard look at leadership dynamics, decision-making under pressure, and whether the culture still pushes everyone to the edge of improvement, or simply maintains a familiar baseline. There is also the reality that the league itself keeps evolving, and standing still is not neutral. It is falling behind. Other teams are constantly reinventing how they think about game management, analytics, situational football, and adaptability within games. If Baltimore does not match that pace of evolution at the top, it risks being consistently outmaneuvered in the moments that matter most. Talent can cover cracks for a while, but in January football, details and adaptability usually decide who advances and who goes home. Ultimately, the uncertainty surrounding this offseason is less about fear of change and more about fear of wasted time. Every decision made now echoes into future seasons, impacting roster construction, player confidence, and the overall belief in the direction of the franchise. The Ravens are not a rebuilding team searching for identity. They are a contender searching for answers. And how they choose to address this moment will reveal whether they are willing to confront uncomfortable truths or continue searching for fixes around the edges. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support keeps us bringing you the latest news on the Baltimore Ravens. And hey, drop your take in the comments below. We want to hear from the flock. Rumors are swirling in Baltimore as whispers emerge from inside the Ravens locker room. John Harbaugh, known for his ironclad discipline and no-nonsense approach, has reportedly benched one of his starting players while the team remains tight-lipped. Sources suggest the move stems from a serious breach of conduct, sending shockwaves through the franchise and leaving fans and analysts alike speculating about the identity of the sideline star. Harbaugh's reputation as a disciplinarian is well-earned. He has never hesitated to make difficult calls, even at the expense of high-profile players. Yet, insiders indicate this latest decision is particularly significant, hinting at an incident that goes beyond typical sideline disagreements or minor lapses. Teammates are said to be divided, with some understanding the coach's firm stance, while others reportedly question the timing and impact of removing a starter in the midst of a crucial stretch of the season. The move has sparked intense debate across sports media, with pundits dissecting potential motivations and consequences. Some speculate it could be a strategic warning to reinforce accountability within the locker room, while others wonder if the incident might point to larger internal tensions. Fans are divided as well, with social media buzzing with theories and speculation. Some defending Harbaugh's uncompromising style, and others fearing it might destabilize the team's rhythm on the field. Though the Ravens front office has remained officially silent, the ripple effects of this rumored disciplinary action are already evident. Analysts suggest that the player's absence could alter game day rotations, impact team chemistry, and even influence the franchise's broader strategy for the season. Meanwhile, the identity of the player continues to fuel endless speculation, adding a layer of intrigue and drama that Harbaugh rarely invites but seems willing to embrace. When principles are at stake, whether this is a temporary measure or a more permanent shakeup, one thing is clear: John Harbaugh is sending a message. And in the high-stakes world of the NFL, few coaches carry the credibility to do so with such unflinching authority. As fans wait for further confirmation, the question remains: how far will Harbaugh go to maintain discipline? And who will be next if the rules are broken again? That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay in the loop with exclusive news on our Baltimore Ravens, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what the flock thinks. Drop your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next one.